with the theme justice or else. And in today's segment of Reaching Out for the Brothers, we're going to be joined on the phone by Dominique Laundry, the co-founder of Common Ground Management, and he's going to be helping us talk about how to circulate the black dollar in our black community so we can have success and that we can be able to, be prosperous and take care of economic empowerment so that we don't suffer throughout these holidays and wonder where our money went. It's come January when them bills come. Yeah, it's going to be a situation if we haven't invested our money the right way. So, Brother Dominique, are you there, brother?
Yes, it does. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. So thanks for calling in and taking part in the show, man. We appreciate you and all the work that you do. Gave a little intro about your company and your title, but tell the people a little bit more about Common Ground Management and the things that you do to help out in the community.
Well, yeah, thank you. I want to thank WRD for having us on today. So Common Ground Management was started 2011, 2012. So our entire goal was to assist with Philadelphia-based businesses in their growth from a startup level and to help them scale to sustainability. So if you're a solo entrepreneur and you're running a restaurant, our goal was to help you manage that, build that up so that you can employ people from your community and take yourself out of the operation and make a business out of it as opposed to just creating another job solely for yourself. So Common Ground Management, we just assist in development of businesses and communal development. We started a youth academy in North Philadelphia on 12th and Cambria called AC Fairhill, where we have the youth come and play soccer, and we teach them entrepreneurial things as well and introduce them to different aspects of life here in Philadelphia, cultural immersion and those types of things. And like, as you mentioned, health is really important, especially at a young age, mentally and physically, being healthy and making good decisions. So in a sense, we give back to the community through our services, but we have a nonprofit kind of skew on things, but we're a for-profit company, so we think as entrepreneurs we're definitely responsible for how our community is involved with us and how we engage with it. So that's something that we take very personally at our company. So I hope that kind of summarizes what we do and who we are a bit.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, it definitely does. Gives our listening audience some good details about Common Ground Management so that they can understand the work that you're doing in the communities as we talk about circulating the black dollar. It was a study done by the Nelson Company. It says that the black people have over $1 trillion in collective buying power. Not dollars, but buying power. So they have $1 trillion in buying power. And, with that type of buying power, you would think that in our communities we would be able to sustain a lot of the local businesses that we see. So, in your opinion, as you do your consulting management work in local communities, what are one of the challenges that comes into play when you're talking about this buying power that's in the black community, but yet it's not enough spending in the black community?
For me, I think it's a legitimacy question. So, for example, a lot of people in the inner city, especially here in Philadelphia, may want to engage with a black-owned business, but there may be a competitive business that's a little bit more known, especially in the restaurant industry. So they may prefer to spend their money there because they feel like the quality is going to be a bit better. Mm-hmm. But then also on the same token, you say, well, they go to the Chinese store, and the Chinese store in the corner, they have no customer service, and the food is horrible, health-wise. So it's funny, like it seems that we flim-flam back and forth between whether it's a legitimate business or whether the quality of service is what we deem is appropriate, or sometimes it's just people want to go to where they think their standard is. So it's a hard question to answer because as consumers, we spend our money wherever we want to. I think we're divided amongst what we feel is important, where we feel it's important to spend our money, and where we're comfortable with spending our money. But yeah, it's definitely a difficult question to answer with one answer. I think, it depends on that type of person and it depends on that neighborhood, how they support their local businesses. But on the other side, the business owners, I think, is a more direct correlation to the lack of spend. Because what I found in our work with our local entrepreneurs here, very rarely do you find businesses that are in close proximity to the neighborhoods that we're talking about that scale their business. So you may have a restaurant and they have an owner, and the owner is still the same person cooking the food, right? Still the same person that probably has his son running the cash register. And they have yet to scale the business to have multiple employees, take the owner out of the daily operations so we can make more managerial decisions on how to grow, how to market, how to improve the business. So we still find ourselves running into situations where, the business is making money, but there's a lot of commingling in the business. So the business made, let's say, $200,000. So the owner feels like I made $200,000, which isn't necessarily the case. You have to reinvest back in the business to employ people from the neighborhood to fix the fixtures inside the business, to have better marketing material, to give a better message. Those types of things, but I think that gets lost sometimes when we own our own businesses because we feel, hey, I made it, I'm working hard, I created a job for myself and some immediate family members, and I got to take all that home.
Right.
And so we never really grow to become a more mature business a lot of times in our communities, and I think that trickles down to how the consumers feel and interact with us, too.
So can I ask you a question? First of all, about how old are you?
I'm 29.
All right, so you're 29, almost 30. My question to you would be, from your perspective as a relatively young person, why do you think we're still having this conversation in 2015 that was part of the conversation that Booker T. Washington was trying to have when he started the National, Negro Business League, and we've had it for a long time. How come we haven't gotten this memo yet that you can't really talk about yourself as a free people, a liberated people, a self-determining people if you can't figure out how to control the economics of your community?
That's a great question. So I'll go off topic and come right back on. So I teach on Saturdays at Blueford Middle School, life skills to 11 to 14-year-olds. And we just read Alan Locke's short story on the New Negro, Old Negro. And that's like more than 100 years ago that was written, or close to 100 years ago that was written in the early 1920s. And it's still some of the same issues that you mentioned. I think that, in my opinion, of course, I think that we get so much data taken out of what we learn at a young age. So the importance of cost management, the importance of saving, what we can do with these opportunities, how we can grow opportunities, and we just get a lot of raw data. So we see the spoils of other people's riches, and we say, I want to live like that, right? Because I'm a free person in America, I can get a Benz. So as soon as I get a $45,000 a year job, the first thing I do is I get a Mercedes Benz. And you can't afford the maintenance on it. Not to say that's everybody, but I think because of the oppression, maybe there's some generational things that say, like, we need the materialism to make ourselves feel like we're there. While other people are looking at investment, other groups are looking at investments into the community, investments into their own businesses, sowing seeds for future growth as a family and things of that nature. And then also, I think we're just really behind with where we are in terms of trying to get to the places that we see other cultures, other racial groups or ethnic groups here, especially in Philadelphia. Like college is a big thing now for our community. If you go to, a lot of people still don't have anybody that's ever been to college. So when you go to college and you're saying, hey, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to take this $100,000 loan for the 4 years I go to college, and then you come back out and now you're just working to pay the loan off. Meanwhile, I went to St. Joseph's University, and there was kids that were going there just because their parents were like, go to college so you can own the business after you get out. So we're probably 2 or 3 generations behind on information and how we can create better opportunities without necessarily putting ourselves in debt or spending our money a little bit more wise to make better choices for our youth and our community as a whole, I think.
And that's definitely a good point that you brought up about the families who send their children to school so that they can sustain and grow their own business. But it ties back into what we were talking about last week, the legacy, and how to make sure we can carry that forward. And part of understanding those Black-owned businesses that are right now in our communities that have their sons and daughters going off to college, for the most part, it appears that their kids aren't going for the same reason that you just mentioned, to sustain a business, because they're looking at it as if, why would I want to come back here? Nobody's going to support us. In Philadelphia, there's over 245 minority-owned businesses that are registered. Of course, there may be more that are not quite registered, but over 245. So my question to all of us here in the studio, and even to our listening audience, is, how are we going to support one of those businesses? What item can we say, okay, this holiday season, I'm going to buy this item from a black-owned business? I know we have JD's Auto Body and Painting, and we're all going to go support him. We always do, because JD's doing a great thing in the community. But other than, let me put it like this: there's 3 standards that are always being supported in the black community, particularly 2. I'm going to say it's the barbershops, hair salons. So that's 1 and 2 all the same time, and then the churches. Those are always going to be supported.
Right.
So, other than those, callers listening in, call in and let me know, what item are you going to buy or support at a black-owned business this holiday season to help stimulate the black economy, so that we don't string it at ourselves throughout these holiday seasons. This is Jeff Jones, just reaching out for the brother segment of Shomari Show. 215-634-8065. 215-634-8065. We're coming up a commercial break. Be back on the other side.